everybody. Sorry I was absent for a couple days. I had a child end up in the hospital for a overnight stay. Thankfully, nothing came of it. But they had to run a bunch of tests just to confirm kind of what we were thinking, but better safe than sorry. So anyway, things are moving back to normal around my house anyway. So I just wasn't driving anywhere by myself the past couple days, so I wasn't able to record anything. Today's topic that I kind of picked out, it's more of a story than a topic. Years ago, I got involved in selling cars. I worked for a local dealership that's been around forever. They're highly reputable in the area where they do business, and even though I'm no longer in the automotive sales or service side of things, I still do business with them. That's where I bought my last car. I get a lot of my service and tires and stuff done at this place. But I got into the business as a wide-eyed, dumb kid who didn't... Whoa, construction or something going on up here. Hang on. Park right in the blind turn. Okay. Yikes! We made it over in time. Alright. Anyway, I got involved as a wide-eyed young adult thinking that the sky was the limit, and turns out, long and short, that sales wasn't my game. Like, I knew all the facts and features and could demonstrate the car with the best of them, but I wasn't that great when it came time to closing the deal and getting a sale. Part of that was people's ignorance. I seem to catch some of the worst people to catch as far as a salesman goes. People that had no money, no ability to buy, no credit, no nothing like that. Past my wife and kids on the road. So I ended up having a lot of people that, man, if you get this $30,000 vehicle down to $300 a month, I'd buy it today. If you buy a $30,000 vehicle for $300 a month, you are doing something better than I know how to do. We'll just leave it at that. The average payment per $5,000 on a 60-month loan with average interest rate is $100 a month. I'll let you do the math. And you can stretch to 75 or 84 months now. Well, anyway, long and short, after a year of mediocrity in the sales staff, there came a position open in the service area that I turned out to be fairly good at. And I stayed there for about a year, moved within the company again, and then quit to move on to greener pastures. Well, the story that I want to talk about today kind of goes to know when to dig your heels in. There was one of the things that this dealership did on the majority of their pre-owned vehicles, unless it was just, super high mileage, is they warrantied everything with just a basic warranty that they backed it for so long under this warranty, which was, I know it's common practice, but it's helpful because, a customer might trade in a car knowing that something's about to go wrong We get it in, we don't know what we're looking for as a sales staff, and everyone checks the car out okay, and all of a sudden something happens. So they stand behind what they sell unless they just know for a fact that something's wrong with it. Well, we had got this used vehicle in for this gentleman. He ended up buying it. A couple weeks later, he brought it in for an issue. And I said, well, sir, I can certainly understand, the problem that's going on here. Here's our schedule for when we can get it in. And he just said, okay, that's fine with me. Never said another word about it. Fast forward up to his appointment. He brings it in. And I didn't know that he had bought the vehicle that recently with us. At the time, I was working in the service side of the business, and you can, when you're scheduling the appointments, you just don't have 100% of the information a lot of the times. So, customer comes in, and the truck needed several $100s worth of work. So, I look at the odometer, and it had gone over the warranty period on this vehicle. And I said, well, sir, I do apologize, but the warranty period on your vehicle is expired. Well, would this have been a covered repair? Oh, yes, sir, it would have been, but the warranty period on your vehicle is expired. Well, then I start getting more of the story. Turns out he had he was military and he had to go out of state for something briefly and come right back, and he was going to take his truck. So the trip is what put him over the warranty. I said, well, sir, I certainly appreciate that. Unfortunately, I can't authorize this vehicle to be fixed, so let me call the sales manager. And we'll go from there. Okay. So the building where this particular service shop was at was separate from the main sales building at the time. So it was an eighth to a quarter mile away. There was a ton of small trips taken between the two buildings during the course of a week, just because you had to bring certain odd parts over, take paperwork over to the main office, things of that nature. Well, I called over and I spoke with the sales manager, like I said I would. And I'm trying to explaining that, hey, this customer brought this vehicle in, and he's like, well, is the repair covered or not? In all technicality, it wasn't. I'm trying to tell him the extenuating circumstances to why it's not covered. That it wasn't really the customer's fault. He didn't make me aware that he was traveling out of state. Didn't make me aware that he knew it was going to put him over on his miles. He just accepted the appointment. And I didn't document the miles that it had beforehand, but he told me where he went, and I could do the math. So anyway, I call the sales manager, and I'm trying to explain to him all this, and he wants a simple yes or no answer. Well, what's funny is I like the guy that was a sales manager, but I didn't like working for him. So I'm trying to explain this, and he's like, you're not answering my question. Is it covered? Yes or no? No. Fine, click. So I tell this gentleman that has served his country that I said, sir, I do apologize, but I tried to explain, I was explaining to the sales department what was going on, and they're not covering the repair. So the very next stop for this guy is over at the main office, and he proceeds to, I can't see him cussing this guy out, but he said he did, but he proceeds to give the sales manager a piece of his mind, and the sales manager agrees to fix it. And so later that day or the next day, I have to go over to the main office to take care of some just normal routine paperwork, pick up parts. I don't remember what, it doesn't matter. So anyway, I go over, and this sales manager catches me. And he says, hey, I got my butt ripped because of you. I'm like, no, you didn't. It's like, that guy with the truck that was out of warranty. I'm like, it's your fault, not mine. He's like, you want me to take you in this office, cuss you out? I said, you go right ahead, do whatever you got to do, but you're not my boss. He's like, I am your boss. So anyway, he goes on and on and on, and I'm just standing my ground, just like, no, you wouldn't listen to me. I guarantee you were on World Star Hip Hop or Facebook, busy watching something, doing something, and you could not be bothered to do your job. And more than likely I was right, because that was he was a great sales manager when his head was in the game, but he could get very distracted, sucked in, and apathetic on the computer. So anyway, this guy ends up, the long and short, like, I just keep standing my ground, like, you're not my boss, you're not going to cuss me out and get away with it. If you want to take me in this office, cuss me out, fine, but I'm going to talk to my boss, the service manager, and then he'll go to the general manager, and both of y'all are going to get your butts ripped for this. So long and short, this dude ends up tap dancing to get me happy, and I'm like, look, I was just trying to explain that it was a more complicated than a yes or no answer. I was technically 100% right, but it was not a simple no. No, but the guy was serving his country, had to take a big trip that put him over his miles, and we couldn't get him in to diagnose it beforehand to get it covered. That was the answer. He wasn't giving me that much time. So, what was funny is another sales staff member that I had grown to admire quite a bit when I worked in the sales staff. He's seen this whole thing go down, and he pulls me into his office, and he goes, man, I just want you to know I'm proud of you. He's like, I've been in this business for a long time, and someone needed to do that to him. I'm glad you did that. Well, thank you. Which I just thought it was funny, because the guy that was trying to get me all riled up ended up tap dancing around to get me happy. But I knew I wasn't wrong. And long and short, the customer's vehicle ended up getting fixed, and everybody walked away happy at the end of the day. On a side note, if anyone ever eventually figures out the name of that dealership, that specific manager's no longer there, so don't let him dissuade you from purchasing from them. They're really a great company. But the gist of today's show was just to know when to dig your heels, and when you know that you know that you know that you know that you're right, don't let anyone roll right over top of you. Stand your ground. Dig your heels in. Let them get mad. Let them threaten. Let them cuss. Let them want to take you into the side office and rip you a new one. Whatever they want to do. Doesn't matter. If you're right, you're right. If they're wrong, period. That's the gist of the show today. But it was one of my more interesting stories that came from 3 years in the auto sales business from the dealership side of things. Sales and service, I should say. But one of the more interesting stories that came from that career, and it was definitely comical in my opinion to see this guy that had been in the business longer than me, was better than me at sales, end up trying to make me happy at the end of the day. So anyway, if you like the stories and content, feel free to subscribe, comment, please. I want to know if there's anything that you want to hear me talk about. I'm open to basically anything. I might not be entertained by it, but I'll give it an effort. I'll do a little research. I'll try to get more informed on an issue, and I'll give it a shot. Hit the notification bell if you want to know what's coming in the future. I still have a few video ideas on a list that I'm going through, and I'm coming up with more all the time, so content will be posted as soon as I record it. Again, I do apologize about the absence for a couple days, but like I said, I had a child in the hospital, and those of you that aren't parents in the audience, you won't know stress until that happens. So anyway, that's today's podcast, folks. Hope y'all have a great day. Again, another cruise with Big Smooth, and I'll